This is an interesting problem I ran across. I couldn't make it down to South Carolina in October, but a friend was here, and I told him to exercise my car a bit, drive it around, and I'm sure that would help it. Cars, Model A's love to be driven, and they run so much better if you do drive them. So I wanted my car driven. So he's all excited about driving my Roadster around the island, and it won't start. And he's a Model Air, and so he got into it and started working on it. And for 2 days, he established the spark was perfect, the gas was there, the timing was right on. There was nothing he could find wrong, and it just sat. He gave up on it. So then I come down 5 months later, thinking I'm going to have a big problem on my hands. And I got in, and it started right up. And it drove for about 3 weeks before one day I come out to take it for a ride, and it won't start. And again, I check. I got fuel, I got spark, and I know the timing's fine. And so it turns out it's a manifold leak of air. And when I would try to start it, I wouldn't even get a pop. And so then I got some starter fluid and squirted it down in there along between the engine and the manifold. And while my wife hit the starter, and boom, she starts right up. So that's simple. The gasket needs to be changed. So I took it apart. And to take it apart, all you have to do is take the carburetor linkage off and the choke and your vacuum line and your gas line. And then this whole area can be rocked back, and you take the gasket out, drop the new one in, and you're all set. So when I was starting to do that, though, when I took the nuts, went to take the nuts off, they were almost loose. They were just barely snugged up. So I probably could have tightened my 4 manifold nuts and maybe fixed the problem, but I had the new gasket here anyway, so I put it in. And it ran like a top. So this is a situation where it can fool you and cause a lot of agony and grief trying to figure out what it is. The other place that can leak is down here at this joint between the carburetor and the intake manifold. If there's an air leak there, your engine will die when you go down to idle and hit the brakes. The fuel slushes to the front of the bowl. The fuel level in the jets drops just a tiny bit, and a little tiny bit of extra air makes it too lean to run, and your car dies. So if that happens, and I did a video on this earlier, you just flatten out that carburetor flange and with a file, clean it up where it's all shiny, and do the same thing for the intake manifold. You can do that with a light and a mirror. You don't have to take it off, and that'll fix that. But the other cruel thing is if you would have a cracked intake manifold that's leaking air. Those are extremely hard to find where the leak is, and I ran into that once. Now on the gasket change, we did one of those during the Woodward Dream Cruise a few years ago, and we did it right on Woodward Avenue. My buddy's car would start, but it ran real rough. We finally did the trick with the starter fluid, and we knew it was a gasket, so we pulled it apart. And we had a nice crowd watching all the action, so we're probably going to do that the next Dream Cruise, to manufacture some problem so we can take something apart and show people. Anyway, I hope this helps. Just make sure you check things before you start changing parts. A lot of people just start replacing parts and they have nothing to do with the problem. You got to find what the problem was. If the car was running yesterday or last month, it wants to run. You just have to find that little tiny thing that is keeping it from running. So good luck with your play toys.